Welcome to the 17th round of WTSS Season 7. We're at the Myrtle Beach Speedway in South Carolina. Last week in Martinsville, we had a nail-biter in the championship scheme picture. Reid, with 5 laps to go, was caught up in an accident while running in third when a lapped car blew a tire directly in front of him. He escaped, however, with the point lead still by the skin of his teeth. 7 points leading over rookie Jeff McLennan, and a large sum over third place Yuki Tamura, all 3 of which could theoretically leave tonight with the point lead. Reid finds himself qualifying in the 6th position, whilst other drivers in the top 5 in the championship, like Mitchell Mark, puts himself on the front row, and Sean Angel finds himself back in 12th, but still closer to the front than McLennan, who only was able to muster 26th in qualifying. It was Scott Roush in the 6, who put it on the pole with a lap time nearly 0.2 of a second quicker than anybody else was able to pull out of the hat in that 10-minute session. It's going to be 200 laps around this short track in the middle of the marshlands in South Carolina. The previous 4 races we've all held here have been nail-biters and exciting races. Can the trend continue? Will Reid find a way to the front? Can Scott Roush score his first win in nearly 2 seasons? There's one way to find out. Let's get to the race start. Pace car pulls in. Scott Roush and Mitchell Mark, the front row, here at Myrtle Beach. Green flag flies and we're underway. Dead even from the lead 2 down to turn number 1. The outside lane has been known to get good starts around here sometimes. Can Mark fight back on the outside exit at turn 2?
Looks like he is, but can he clear? No, he cannot.
The last 2 races we've seen here, the inside lane cleared in one, the outside lane cleared in the other. Mitchell Mark takes the lead around the outside to take the lead exit of the first lap at Myrtle Beach. We have the 17 of Tristan Wilhoit trying to follow through on that outside lane. Looks like it's really working for these drivers on the opening laps. 3 wide back here. Daniel Giroux, Mitchell Carter, Ray Takeda on the bottom. Oh, 3 wide has never been a recommended move around here. Takeda's going to be the one that pays the biggest price as Giroux clears both of them around the outside.
It's close quarters, even more than usual.
Roush not letting Mark get away. Back down the inside into turn 3. Mark runs way up the racetrack. Roush cuts underneath. But it's almost like the 28 meant to do that and diamonded the corner, keeping the lead from the 6 for now. As this run goes on, we're going to see these lanes change, rubber in, and find different speeds at different points in the race. We've seen the inside lane be able to be useful at this event in past seasons, but the outside lane, at least on the start, it looks like it's the strong one tonight. Except if your name is Daniel Giroux, he's charging up to the back of Hu Ji-yeon for 6th on that inside lane, so we'll see if he can make something happen with that. But at the moment, it looks like a very high-side, heavy start to this race as the track still is yet to be fully rubbered in. That could definitely make clearing lap traffic interesting if the inside lane is not the way to go. But it might be the way to go for some people. Yeah, look at that, Yuki Tamura on DeMax there. So if you've got the better car and the possibly better driver and better setup, the inside lane is definitely viable still. As Mark continues to keep Roush at bay for now. Angrit's around the outside of Takeda for 11th place. Jockeying for position after position in the midfield. Jeff McLennan trying to make up as many spots as possible. He's now climbed up into the 20th position from 26th. Scott Roush now starting to realize that the top line might be the way to go, that he has to make a move on Mitchell Mark, and he starts to peak high there through 1 and 2, but cannot find anything at the moment being. Nobody has dared try to go 3 wide since that first couple laps. And probably smart for it. Sean Angel in the 58, still trying to sneak through on the inside, still trying to make something happen, but right now, it looks like patience is going to be a virtue for these opening few laps. Because as much as instinctually you want to make that move down the inside as a race car driver, it looks like you just got to bide your time and wait till you have an opportunity to get the outside. Roush is definitely experimenting right now, while Bichelia is just trying brute force on Tristan Wilhoit. He has tried attempt after attempt on that inside lane. And I feel like his mentality here is just that eventually I'm going to be able to force him into a mistake. Eventually I'm going to be able to muscle my way past through just sheer will. And he may be right. We've seen that in the past around here, so it could still be an option, but he is definitely not exploring that high lane as much as other people around this track, because I just saw Arnie Nugroho in the 45 brush the outside wall on the exit of turn number 2. Contact is made. Sebastian Van Dalen hard into the wall with Arnie Nugroho. Chris Louviere, Alex Constantine is destroyed in that one. Multiple cars involved on the front straightaway, and your leaders are racing back into the scene here. Mitchell Mark and Scott Roush squeeze through the traffic at the last second, and somehow, miraculously, the whole field misses the accident scene on the front straightaway as the caution is out here at Myrtle Beach, and we have split strategies at the front of the field as Mark comes to the pits, and into the back of the six goes Daniel Voiles, trying to get back and stay on the lead lap if he can beat the pace car to the line here. And he will do so. I think James Gibson, I think by beating the leader of the line, he's allowed to stay on the lead lap. But I don't think Chonarong Wongsuwat, I don't know. I don't know who crossed the line and who didn't before the caution was out. But if I had a nickel now for this season where Scott Roush has been involved in a crash under caution, not of his own doing this season, it's happened twice now. I'd have 2 nickels. I just don't believe it. It happened at Nashville when he was leading, and now, as he was just about to inherit the lead, having stayed out under this caution, Daniel Voiles charges through to try and stay on the lead lap under this caution, and rams right into the back of the 6 car.
At least it's not as race-ruining as it was in Nashville.
Well, Nashville was
hopefully you can continue
straight up
on.
pit wall, yeah. Chris Louviere came in for damage repairs, and he's ultimately going to get caught a lap down in the pits. Scott Roush, the leader, with major rear-end damage on the number 6 car, ahead of Kyle Bichelia, Ryan Reid, Hu Ji-yeon, and Daniel Giroux. Let's go back and look and see what happened to bring out the first caution of the race. So you can see Nugroho had been run up the racetrack by Louviere, and an over-ambitious move by rookie Sebastian Van Dalen, in my opinion. Understeered up the racetrack into the side of Chris Louviere, forcing him up the racetrack into Nugroho, and that just caused a massive pile-up on the front straightaway. Big damage for Bobby Fraser, DJ Curtis, Alex Constantine especially, Chris Louviere, Jake Stevens, Elijah Innes, Fabio Vitabasa, Brandon Crasta, and of course, Daniel Voiles. And the other Roush Racing Enterprise car, that's the championship leader, Ryan Reid, had a bit of contact side to side with the 08 of Chonarong Wongsuwat. It didn't look as major as the Scott Roush collision, but Roush Racing Enterprise is ruining the moment that this caution even came out in the first place right now, as both of their cars have some sort of damage on them from other drivers escaping the accident scene here at Myrtle Beach. Caution is out for the first time today. Scott Roush the leader, but with a wounded race car. Let's get back to the restart. Pace car is back in. It'll now be interesting to see the 2 Roush Racing Enterprises cars of Scott Roush and Ryan Reid, whether or not their damages are going to affect their car's handling. We're back underway here at Myrtle Beach. The 2 lappers of Chris Louviere and Bobby Fraser on that inside lane. Now this is where the aspect of traffic navigation comes in here at Myrtle Beach. We see cars fanning out 2 and almost 3 wide on this restart lap. And this is where pace differential comes in, where even if you have you're on the worst line. If you have a better car, you can still make it work, just based off of the pace differential of the two lines. And Scott Roush has a tire rub from that damage, and he's in. And from the pole, oh, you just can't find a break for this guy. And I almost have to wonder if Ryan Reid is going to be in danger of a tire rub as well in that 90. Kyle Buschelia inherits the lead, but my goodness, can it get any unluckier? I think DJ Curtis is either serving a restart penalty or is also coming in for further damage repairs. Yes, it is further damage repairs, possibly still rubbing on the fender. But Curtis was already heavily wounded from that first accident. Scott Roush, on the other hand, was in position to be the leader of this race through strategy. Unreal. And after extended damage repairs for the 6, he's finally back out onto the racetrack, and the pain keeps coming for Roush Racing Enterprises. Yuki Tamura has an oil leak. 3 of the 4 Roush Racing Enterprises cars have suffered a problem in the first 25 laps. I just don't believe what I'm seeing. And Reid was unable to even overtake Chris Louviere and put him back a lap down. Now he's got Hujian around the outside for the position. And when it rains, it pours for Roush Racing Enterprises. And so now, Hu Jian is up into the second position, as Kyle Buschelia has an absolutely monstrous lead after every development that's been faced so far in this race, as we were nearly 3 wide there as Tamura was rejoining the racetrack. Buschelia leads 1.9 seconds over Hu Jian. There's a lapper in between himself and the rest of the field, and that lapper is not running very slow lap times. Absolutely insane developments here at Myrtle Beach. Now the question being, is that fender going to stay off the tire on the 90 car, or is the bleeding going to continue for Roush Racing Enterprises? Their only car that hasn't had any problems so far. Stavenov's back here. He pitted under that last caution, so he's all the way back here. He's on a completely different strategy. In terms of the main race, Ryan Reid's their one sole survivor left. Hu Jian, your winner at Nazareth, does not look like she's got any sort of pace to compete with the leaders, and is now really starting to hold these guys up. Daniel Giroux in the 2 there with Shrimp Angritz. Shout out Jeff McLennan, who just took 12th down the inside of Mark Nutt. And the man second in points, 7 points behind Ryan Reid coming in, making extreme forward progress from a subpar qualifying position back in 26th. The gap grows to 2.8 seconds now out front for Kyle Buschelia. As we see Ryan Reid all over the back of Hu Jian to try and get second back. Sean Angel started 12th, up into 6th. Now approaching the battle for second, which will soon become a 5-way fight for position. And as Buschelia catches the back of the field, he first will catch DJ Curtis, who is extremely wounded out there, has already pit on this restart to repair his damage even further. And just like in Martinsville, the 54 car is just going to be one of those lappers that they call moving chicanes, as it basically just is just an obstacle for the leaders to clear. Ryan Bolden is into the pits with further damage repairs to his car after the incident earlier on. Some drivers are finding their tire rubs coming way later on in the run. And if I was Ryan Reid, that would make me extremely nervous. Nearly a quarter of the way through here at Myrtle Beach. And there's Ryan Bolden leaving the pits right in front of this group of cars, as he now falls 2 laps down in the 7 car, which provides a perfect opportunity for Jeff McLennan to try something on Ray Takeda here, unless Takeda can sneak around the outside of the 7 of Bolden. .4 seconds for Bisceglia now. He's got nobody ahead of him for at least another few laps. Utter shock, heartbreak, and agony for Roush Racing Enterprises so far in this race. And I mean, I haven't seen a team take it this bad in a single race in quite some time. McLennan was unable to take 11th from Takeda yet, but now we'll go back down the inside of the 50 to try again. And there's DJ Curtis being encountered by Hu Jian, Ryan Reid, Daniel Giroux, and Shrimp Angritz, all of which dearly want to get past this 54 as fast as possible. Angritz nearly forces it 3 wide and has to back out of it as he drifted up the racetrack. An opportunistic attempt to get Daniel Giroux there while they were clearing Curtis, but he ultimately saw better of it. But we'll have to keep an eye on the rest of the field as they keep catching that 54 of Curtis, because things could get very hairy very quickly. There's those fresh tires for Ryan Bolden. Tires will make a difference here. Brandon Crasta is now into the pits with a tire rub from the damage sustained in that accident. This is just creating numerous multitudes of off-cycle pit stops that we're going to be seeing later on in this race. Nearly a 5-second lead for Kyle Bisceglia here at Myrtle Beach. Trying to get his 4th career win and his 4th on a short track, as we're approaching 1/4 of the way through here tonight at Myrtle Beach. Lap traffic aplenty now has been right in front of the 27 here, and it's finally approached him. First up, Jake Stevens in the 18. A majority of these cars he's going to be trying to clear here first off are going to be heavily wounded cars from that accident down the front straightaway just about 20 laps ago. Oh, wow. I think that was contact between William Duncan and Roberto Crown Jr. into turn 1. Very, very close call, as DJ Curtis continues to hold the traffic up behind him. And if he gets shuffled up to the top, you do not want to be on that bottom lane, or on the top lane. But if Aiden Shepard continues to just run behind him like he is, it could spell disaster for the inside lane if Roberto Crown Jr. can just sneak to the outside of the 54, but I think it's too little too late here. And now that's going to cause some headache, for sure. For all of these drivers now, they're going to get impatient, I have a feeling, trying to get through on this 54 as quick as possible. He's nearly running a second per lap slower than the rest of the field. Bisceglia has cleared Jake Stevens and now eyes up. Contact right in front of the race leader! Bisceglia, Voiles and Stavenagh get into each other. They get away without an accident, but you always got to have your wits about you, even while clearing lap traffic with a 5-second lead, because just like that, it can happen so quickly. There's another damaged car coming into the pits with a tire rub. Shonarong Wongzawat in the 08. 3 wide off of turn 2 back here. Tristan Wilhoit on the bottom. Cale Teskar Jr. on the top. Patrick Smith in the middle. The only other instance of 3 wide we saw this race ended in a crash, but luckily they sorted out. Ray Takada seems to be the biggest loser. In the instance with DJ Curtis, I can't believe they didn't crash there with Logan Hill, Patrick Smith, and Wilhoit.
Wilhoit seems very impatient right now, trying to make moves.
Well, he was one of those leaders who ended up choosing to pit during that first caution, and he is being so aggressive. Because I think he realizes the error of that early call. There is not enough of a tire advantage to be making forward progress unless you can really force it.
Yeah.
But I think he also realizes DJ Curtis is on the outside, and if at any point there is a hole for Curtis to get down to the bottom, he will block that bottom lane off, and I think Wilhoit wants to get ahead of that before it happens. Curtis nearly a second a lap slower than these guys, so if he gets down to the bottom, that is not what these guys want to see. Bisceglia in traffic now, quite heavy traffic. Oh my God! Right as we turn to him, it's a catastrophic engine failure for the race leader, Kyle Bisceglia, who's out of the race! Just like that! Into the first corner, stopped on the apron and out!
Unbelievable.
And for the second time in 3 races, we have a leader blow the engine from the lead after dominating the early half of the race. It was Engritz at Knoxville. It's Bisceglia at Myrtle Beach. Hu Ji-Yan inherits the lead, and I would assume every lead lapper in their right mind is going to come into pit, as I think we've had a crash coming to the caution in turn number 3 with Alex Bignacco. And as a result, it has jumbled this order up, taking the caution. But the one solemn fact between all of these drivers is they're all coming into pit. Every single lead lapper in their right mind is coming in. And I just cannot believe what I have just seen. I was just about to talk about how Kyle Bisceglia was needing to really pick the pace up with his traffic because it was getting quickly apparent he was having trouble clearing them, and maybe, just maybe, something was starting to hiccup on that car. As I think we've just seen our first ounce of strategy being played. Daniel Giroux comes out of the pits with the race lead. I think I just saw people take 2 tires on that chart just now. And just like that, things have gotten interesting. Daniel Giroux is now the leader here at Myrtle Beach. We're under caution for the second time tonight. Kyle Bisceglia blew the engine from the lead after leading by nearly 5 seconds at one point. But there was a crash coming back to the caution. We'll have to go back and look at that. It's Giroux, Angel, Shepard, Reid, and Ji-Yan, your top 5. Let's go check out to see what happened to Alex Bignacco coming to the caution. We see them coming off of turn 2, having just reacted to the slow 27 of Kyle Bisceglia, but 3 wide just doesn't work around here, and Bignacco found it the hard way as Elijah Innes got squeezed in the middle line, and it spins the 29 up the racetrack and into the wall in turn number 3. Not doing too much damage to the 29, but definitely making that car not competitive for the rest of the night. Daniel Giroux, the leader now, here at Myrtle Beach. Let's get back to the restart. Pace cars off. Daniel Giroux, the new race leader, after a fast stop from the Ditech Van Dalen crew. Sean Angel in second. Aiden Shepard, Ryan Reid, and Hu Ji-Yan, the top 5, we're back underway, and we're going to see a mix of pace between some of the cars on that inside lane between the lap traffic and lead lappers. And we are almost 4 wide through turns 1 and 2, with Shrimp Engritz in the 59 getting shuffled up the racetrack. Angritz and Logan Hill, we heard, had a collision under caution in the pits. One car exiting his stall, one car entering his stall. And it looks like we have people, yeah, some of the lappers, some of the lap down cars are coming in. Further damage repairs for all, except for Alex Bignacco, who appears to have had a restart violation of some sort. That will clear some of the traffic out for some of these lead lappers, at least temporarily. But my goodness, I almost wonder if Angritz is trying to get to the pits with that damage he sustained. He did not come back in under caution, but I almost wonder if he feels it as Patrick Smith blows the engine right in front of him, and that's the other Van Dalen Autosport car. Absolute disaster. They've both blown engines, and they're both out.
Unbelievable.
And now if you're Daniel Giroux leading this race, every single creak and groan that motor makes every time you upshift through the gears, you're going to hear it. Because the two cars of the team that is supporting your team have both grenaded the engine. But this time it will not bring out a yellow. I just don't know what to think about that. I mean, Bisceglia was on his way to absolutely at least a guaranteed top 5 tonight, but possibly a race victory if he could keep up that kind of speed. And even though Patrick Smith was kind of further down the order, he was still in with a shout to earn some good points tonight, and they're just both out before we've even made it to the halfway point of the race. Sebastian Van Dalen is back in for a bit of damage repairs on that 81 car, having been the culprit of the accident that brought out the first caution of the night earlier on. Meanwhile, though, Giroux, the leader, Angel in second, now becomes the difficult task of overtaking slower cars. It looks like Curtis and Roush are much better and are much faster than they were before. Curtis is no longer a second a lap slower than the field. In fact, they have done some remarkable damage repairs on that 54 car to keep him up with the pace of these leaders. Roush's car is not too surprising. He was already a lead-capable car before getting involved with that damage earlier on. But that's just going to make it that little bit harder for the drivers that are outside of the top 5 right now to even inch their way closer to the lead, because they've got 2 other cars they'll have to actually overtake to get to them. It is 4 position, by the way, Roush versus Curtis, so these two are going to be fighting just as hard as these cars ahead on the lead lap are to them. William Duncan in the 66, the one in 6th place right now, trying to clear one of those lapped cars right now. That's Jake Stevens in the 18, who is heavily damaged on both front and rear bumper covers of that car. It doesn't seem to be killing the pace on that 18 car. He's not terribly slow, but he is slow enough that the inside lane is allowing William Duncan to keep alongside. Now we're seeing the outside lane has been unusually strong for Myrtle Beach standards in WTSS tonight. So this is really, even with the damage that 18 car, going to be a difficult pass for the 66. And later on in the race could be a really difficult pass should there be a battle for the win. But I think right there, the 66, Duncan is going to clear the 18 into turn 3. Not quite. Now he can set his sights on the top 5 car, the top 5 and the 7 cars ahead that he'll have to contend with. Giroux has widened the gap a bit out here. Your Indianapolis race winner. One of the rookies that have managed to find victory lane this season. So far, so strong. Out front of this field, even if he wasn't a driver that you had in mind as a contender for the lead tonight. Oh, and what a shame. Scott Roush has the fastest lap of this entire race, but he will not be able to show the speed of that car other than lap times. You know, it's terrible to say, but I really was when I saw Patrick Smith's car have that engine failure. We were focused on this group of cars, and I saw the smoke on the inside lane, and it looked like at first it was coming out of the back of the 17 of Tristan Wilhoit, which would have been Maverick's 17th mechanical failure of the season. Is right behind him! Contact is made! Arnie Nugroho back up the racetrack, hard into the wall for the 45, and caution's gonna come back out again.
That was a close shave for a few people. Wow.
Incredible wreck avoidances for some drivers there. And Daniel Giroux doesn't even get to taste lap traffic tonight as we're back under caution at Myrtle Beach. And it looks like tires are at a premium tonight as everybody seems to want to come right back in. A couple cars deciding to stay out. They think that the outside lane is strong enough that you can fight it off. Oh, wounded Elijah Innes staying out on the lead lap there. But what could have been a much larger accident down the front straightaway here at Myrtle Beach ended up being a bunch of really close calls and only a couple cars sustaining damage as Arnie Nugroho went shooting up into the outside wall. Chris Dodd stays out, as does Shrimp Angritz. Elijah Innes stays out as well, and I believe that's it for the lead lappers that chose not to pit. Hu Jian beats Daniel Giroux out of the pits first. And as such, it's Chris Dodd in the lead ahead of Shrimp Angritz, Elijah Innes, Hu Jian, and Daniel Giroux, the top 5. Let's go back and look and see what happened to bring out the 4th caution of the night here at Myrtle Beach. So you can see 4th position. Wilhoit was trying to pass by the 45 of Nugroho, successfully clears him, and just in time clears him. Goes down to the inside wall. There's nothing Nugroho can do. Oh, wow. Having only 3 cars be involved in that entire crash, and it being the 3 cars that caused it, is a miracle on a track like Myrtle Beach, especially with the way that he was angled towards the inside wall and back up the racetrack. Nugroho, Demax, and Vitabasa being the only cars involved is simply a miracle. We're back under caution here at Myrtle Beach. Chris Dodd now the leader after staying out under that yellow. Let's get back to the restart. Pace car is back in. Chris Dodd, Shrimp Angritz, and Elijah Innes stayed out. The rest of the field came in for fresh tires. We're back underway at Myrtle Beach. We've got a wounded car in the top 3. Let's see how this one plays out as Angritz sticks it to the outside lane as Dodd covers off the bottom. And already the one of Elijah Innes struggling to find the speed with that damage sustained in the earlier accident. Not only that, but older tires as well on that one car are definitely not going to be helping his grip as the caution is already back out for Jake Stavanaugh and Alex Bignacco in turn number 1. As we race back to the yellow, 3 wide between Giroux, Gian, and Innes. And they sorted out. No positions changed. No cars injured in that. And that completely throws those 3 strategy out the window. Dodd, Angritz, and Innes will have to concede here. And we'll never know how that would have played out with them out front. Hu Jian will take the lead back here at Myrtle Beach ahead of... Wow, they're sorting it out back here. Ahead of Daniel Giroux. Now Mitchell Mark finds himself in 3rd, Aiden Shepard in 4th, and in 5th, championship leader Ryan Reid. But we're back under caution once again at Myrtle Beach. A sentence we're getting used to hearing tonight. And let's find out what happened to Jake Stavanaugh and Alex Bignacco down the front straightaway. You can see the 45 of Arnie Nugroho overshooting the corner just as Stavanaugh was peeking to the outside of Mark Nutt, and there was just nowhere to go as the 45 completely checked up on the top. Multiple cars involved. DJ Curtis got a piece of it. Nugroho, of course, Bignacco, and Stavanaugh went spinning. But overall, not a massive accident, but one that was costly for a few drivers towards the back of the field. Hu Jian inherits the race lead after the 3 drivers who pulled a strategy were unable to capitalize on it. She regains the lead and will be on the point for the next restart. Let's get back to the restart. Pace car back in. We're going to have a restart on lap 96 of 200 as we near the halfway point of tonight's race. Hu Jian puts the power down and takes the restart in front of Daniel Giroux and Mitchell Mark. Through 1 and 2, multiple cars jockeying for position, left, right, and center. everybody manages to escape so far in one piece. Gian leads Giroux, but Giroux all over the back of the 49. Contact back there, Yuki Tamura and Bobby Frazier. They get away with it. Nugroho in the pits, repairing further damage from that accident. Oh, 3 wide. Championship leader Ryan Reid on the top with Sean Angel and Jake Stevens. Stevens forces his nose in there on the exit of 4. They keep it clean and civilized for now, but Ryan Reid is in a very uncomfortable position here at Myrtle Beach. Engine failure, Brandon Crasta in the 63. Caution back out again as they've crashed in reaction to his car blowing up in front of him. Hujian
South
takes
Carolina
the
air
caution
has
once again.
not been that healthy for some engines tonight.
No, not at all. And now, once again, people splitting off into their own little race strategies. More pit stop takers at this high abrasion racetrack at Myrtle Beach. Tires continue to be a currency. Hujian keeps the lead ahead of Mitchell Mark. Ryan Reid stays out to be 3rd. Chris Dodd thought his strategy was ruined, but maybe it's not. He comes out 4th place in all this. And 5th, I believe, across the line. I don't know. I can't see who's where. I think 5th is whoever's going to lead out of the pits here. Actually, it's Daniel Giroux. So we're back under caution. And I almost wonder, did Mitchell Mark and Hujian miss the pit entry trying to get checked up under the initial taking of the yellow? They are in the pits now a lap later and are going to concede every ounce of track position they would have kept if they had pit with the rest of the field. And I can't help but imagine that that was just a straight up mistake by them that they did not mean to do. Right side tires only for both cars to go straight back out on the racetrack, but are going to be forced to the back of this line. And there's just something in the water tonight in South Carolina at Myrtle Beach. Everything has been turned on its head again, it feels like. And Ryan Reid is now the race leader, your championship points leader, out front on the night. Let's go back and see what happened to bring out yet another caution at Myrtle Beach. So we see the 63 of Brandon Crasta blowing the engine down the front straightaway, and everybody has to check up. DJ Curtis mows into the back of Fabio Vitabassa, and nowhere to go for James Gibson or Sebastian Van Dalen. Everybody else actually managed to avoid it miraculously for some of these people. But a huge impact that puts major damage on the 75 of James Gibson and pretty moderate damage on the 81 of Sebastian Van Dalen. And then on the run back to the caution, Arnie Nugroho rejoined the racetrack and shouldered DJ Curtis up into the outside wall. But after a chaotic restart and a chaotic pit cycle somehow, Ryan Reid inherits the race lead for this next restart. Can the 90 hang on? Let's find out as we go to the next restart. Pace car pulls back in. You can't possibly know where anybody's strategy is at this point in the race. Ryan Reid takes the restart. That's all I can tell you. We're back underway at Myrtle Beach, and we'll just have to figure out as we go on who goes where towards the end of this race. I almost wonder if that last run was going to be a longer green flag run after that stretch of many cautions in a row before the 63's engine failure. We had been really building up some green flag momentum there. Now the question is, can they get back to that here? The more cars we wipe out of this race, the easier it's going to be to do so. Eventually, they've got to be able to settle themselves down and get some green flag running in. Ryan Reid has fended off challenges from Daniel Giroux on the restart. Aiden Shepard finds himself in 3rd. Sean Angel's in 4th. And in 5th place is Cale Teskar Jr., who has some slight damage after a pit road collision earlier on. Everybody trying to find some time, trying to find moves. William Duncan are on the outside of Teskar, and on a night where the inside lane has been pretty much absolutely useless, he's making it work to try and get past the 25 for the 5th position, 26 for the 5th position. And now Ryan Reid just turned his fastest lap of the entire race last time by. That 90 car has been given clean air and it has been unleashed, even with that moderate damage on the right-hand side. There's almost not a single car left on this racetrack without a scratch on it. It's been a while since we've had a short track race this chaotic in the WTSS, but they do happen from time to time. And an engine failure for the 11 of Logan Hill! Another mechanical failure on the night, and this one's going to bring out another caution as he tries to limp back to the pits. Will it bring out the caution? Van Dalen doesn't know where to go. Hill gets to the pits. We stay green. Wow. Round of applause to Logan Hill for managing to roll that thing into the pit entrance without drawing another yellow. And round of applause for Sebastian Van Dalen for not turning him in the process. That car not even under power as he pulls into the pits to retire from the race. Giroux now all over the back of Ryan Reid for the point. This has got to be almost triple the amount of regular mechanical failures in the WTSS race. This is absurd. Drivers jockeying for position back here. Look at Jeff McLennan not letting Ryan Reid just take the lead and pull his point lead back out that easily. The man who enters only 7 points back of the 90 car coming in tonight finds himself in the 7th position, making up positions as the caution is back out for Jake Stevens, crashing down the back straightaway into turn 3 with major damage on the 18 as he limps back to the caution. Sebastian Van Dalen is barely going to keep the lead lap here at Myrtle Beach. Caution out with Ryan Reid the leader. Reid peels off to the pits, but Giroux does not. And a big damage for the 18 of Jake Stevens. Teskar is in as well. Left side tires for Ryan Reid there. He'll give up his race lead to Daniel Giroux, who now leads over Aiden Shepard, Sean Angel, William Duncan, and Shrimp Engritz, the top 5. Let's go back and see what brought out yet another caution here at Myrtle Beach that has ended Jake Stevens' night. You can see them coming down the back straightaway, and as they enter turn number 3, Ryan Bolden heavily gets into the right rear, misjudged the corner entry, and arced it too hard into the side of Jake Stevens, turning him hard into the outside wall and damaging both cars, but crucially, terminally damaging the 18 of Stevens, who limped it back to the pits and promptly retired. Bolden with major damage as well. Ryan Reid took the caution. Daniel Giroux inherited the lead once Reid pit. It's Giroux the leader over Aiden Shepard and Sean Angel as we take you back to the restart. Pace car pulls back in. Daniel Giroux has re-inherited the race lead, and the 2 car comes back to the point, and the restart with the lead. We're back underway. Now, who can manage to capitalize on this one? Will this finally be the restart that brings us a long green flag run to the end? Only time will tell. Jeff McLennan getting aggressive on the outside there, trying to chase down a top 5. Allison Figueroa, sticking out of the end of the pit wall in qualifying. Puts herself up into the 7th position here in the second half of this race. Alex Bignacco back into the pits with more issues. Shepard right on the back of Giroux here. But I don't know how much of a chance he has as we're 3 wide again down the front straightaway as Finguy and Wongzawat try to eagerly clear the 4 of Eugene DeMax. But they end up forcing the 54 of DJ Curtis up into the middle line now. DeMax actually is not cleared by any of them, even with that damage, and stays ahead for now. You'd think they would have learned by now after this entire night that going 3 wide is not the recommended maneuver out here. But short track aggression just brings out a different being in these drivers. Speaking of which, McLennan puts the bumper to the back of Shrimp Angrets to try and crack the top 5. He would become the point leader right now if this race ended as it is. As a rookie, Jeff McLennan has shown extreme consistency for someone with as little experience as he has. And he's aiming to take the championship lead just past the halfway point of the season. We're 3 wide again with Innes, Mark, Ryan Reid approaching this 3 wide battle. That is ill-advised for someone who is leading the championship, but he's going to go for it anyways. Fabio Vitabassa into the pits with a problem. Carter up the racetrack. Nearly contact on the exit of 4, but I think somehow, some way, it hasn't sorted itself out yet. 3 by 3 on the exit of turn number 2. Finally sorts itself back down to 2 wide. And Ryan Reid. Oh man, Mitchell Carter cuts underneath Elijah Innes now, and he's back to being stuck in a 3 wide battle. You just can't look away. It's so sketchy to go 3 wide around here. We've seen it already tonight on multiple occasions. Top 2 have formed a slight bit of a breakaway. Those being Giroux and Shepard. Sean Angel in 3rd still. That'd be a very important points day for him. 3 wide on the exit of 4 again. For 2 different rows. And both get sorted out pretty quickly. I'm telling you, if they keep going 3 wide like that, we are not done seeing them wreck tonight. Oh! Scott Roush gets into Aiden Shepard. Contact is made. The lapper getting into the 2nd place car of Shepard. And I'm not sure what that was about, whether it be a misjudgment from Roush or something previous we had not seen before. But that 6 car absolutely sent him up the track and almost into the wall and out of the race. I think Roush knows how fast his car is. I think he knows he has the fastest car on the racetrack, and I think he's just driving in complete anger at knowledge that he's 2 laps down and will not be contending for the win tonight.
Yeah, we saw there in 1 and 2, like Roush tried to run Shepard up the track again. I have to imagine Shepard is none too pleased with this.
No, not at all. This is the part of the race where, if it wasn't for the fact that you have to grab the wheel with both hands, you'd be sticking one hand out the window with the middle finger pointing straight at the other driver.
Yep, good old short track racing. It's just how it is.
And we know Scott Roush can be a bit of a bullish hothead sometimes when it comes to these short track events. And knowing that you have a car that should be lapping the field right now with how fast it is. And not being able to even get back to one lap down, that's got to be boiling point. And that's, I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I will say it seems like Roush like running Shepard's tailgate seems kind of lit a fire under him because Shepard's closed up to Giroux.
Shepard has closed up to the back of Giroux. I think being run as hard as he has by Roush has just shown to Aiden Shepard that, oh wow, I guess there is more that I could potentially be doing right now. And he is just, or maybe he's just trying to get away from him. Either way, he's running quicker lap times than Daniel Giroux now and has gotten to the back of the 2 car for the lead of the race, coming to 59 to go. Tristan Wilhoit, one of the few drivers out there making some forward progress on the inside lane, as is Ryan Reid. They're up to 10th and 11th apiece right now. And it's like I said earlier on a previous restart, you just don't know who's on what strategy right now. As Angritz, absolutely gutsy down the inside of William Duncan, but nothing on that inside lane on the exit of turn 2 can help him in the matter. Shepard peeking on Giroux for the lead. Nothing yet, but he's showing to Daniel Giroux that I'm quicker and I want to come through. Back here, battle for 8th. It's now become a 4-way battle for 8th between Mark Nutt, Ray Takeda, Tristan Wilhoit, and Ryan Reid. Lots of battles going on. Hard to pick a point where you need to be looking right at, but I'm picking right here. Wilhoit to the outside of Mark Nutt for the 9th position. He's been making moves on the inside lane, but I think he knows that outside lane's even better. And he wants to be able to make the most of it, but Nutt goes down the inside of Takeda right at the same time. Mitchell Mark now joins this fight. This is all for position here at Myrtle Beach. And now Reid under pressure from Mark as Nutt continues to harass the 50 of Ray Takeda down the inside. A resolution has not been met yet, as Mark Nutt tries to nose ahead of the 50 now. Is this what I was talking about at the start of the race, where the inside lane starts to rubber up as we've got a crash in turn 3? Yuki Tamura and Allison Figueroa have crashed in turn 3. Caution is back out again. Daniel Giroux, the leader, as we're about to take 50 laps to go. No takers at the front of the field. Giroux leads us ahead of Shepard, Angel, Duncan, and Angritz, and Figueroa. And Figueroa was running in 7th place with the lapper of Yuki Tamura right with her. Oh man, I hope that wasn't two pseudo teammates wiping each other out, but we'll have to go back and look and see what brought out the most recent caution here at Myrtle Beach. Daniel Giroux, the leader. We see them coming down the back straightaway here. Oh, and she misjudges the gap, trying to arc and tighten down the corner on Yuki Tamura, and a rookie mistake from Allison Figueroa throws the driver 3rd in the championship hard into the outside wall and possibly out of this race. Oh man, and that is not going to go over well with the leadership at Rouse Racing Enterprises. They provide Reid Family Racing with their cars and setups. And when they've got a car in the championship fight that just got wiped out by the team that they are supporting, that's absolutely going to be a meeting to be had after the weekend is over as they go back to the shop. Daniel Giroux still the leader at Myrtle Beach. Let's get back to the restart. Less than 50 to go at Myrtle Beach. Daniel Giroux still in the lead for this next restart. Scott Roush, the lapper on the inside lane. We've seen some fireworks from him already. Are we going to see some more? Giroux bolts off the line and makes it look easy to clear ahead of all traffic and he won't have to deal with any of them so far on this restart. 3 wide in the back. Allison Figueroa, who has a majorly damaged number 98 car, gets shuffled up to the top, and she is going to be in trouble on this restart with that damage. And we're going to see Scott Roush getting extremely aggressive with race leader Daniel Giroux already here. He is absolutely trying to force his way back to only being 1 lap down. That 6 car is the fastest car on the racetrack, bar none, but will not be contending for the win tonight. Oh my goodness, he just sends it into these corners and the car just does what he wants it to. I think these guys would have been absolutely ruined if he had actually been able to keep the lead instead of getting a tire rub earlier on from that contact. Look at the speed differential. And he's just toying with him. He hasn't even fired it down the inside like he was with Shepard yet, but I think that impatience will grow the longer he's stuck behind him. And if I'm Giroux, I just let him go. He's so much faster. That exit speed is immense. And now here's some drivers in some good points days right now, trying to possibly shake things up at the front of the field. If Giroux gets shuffled up and uprooted by Scott Roush, got Aiden Shepard here, who has really had a rough start to this season. Finally starting to find some momentum after a strong run at Knoxville and a really good run last week at Martinsville. Now running in second tonight would be even better points day for him. Sean Angel trying to put himself back into the championship picture after a disaster at Martinsville and Knoxville. William Duncan in the 66 trying to get out of the top 10 positions of the points. The rest of his teammates are all up in the top 15 and he just cannot find anything this season, but a second top 10 of the season would definitely start to move things in the right direction. Shrimp Engritz in the 59 was the championship leader just 10 races ago. No longer is that the case because of 4 consecutive races where things have either gone out of his control or out of the team's control on where they end up finishing. Right now, even after that massive pit road collision earlier on where he got speared in the door leaving his stall, he is still just as fast and he's battling for third with William Duncan as we speak. Jeff McLennan in the 87. Maverick Motorsports is shining golden boy right now. The rookie in position to take the championship lead almost, if it wasn't for Ryan Reid back in 8th. Comes in 7 points behind. And with just a little bit more fortune on his side, he could leave tonight, the point leader. But meanwhile, Daniel Giroux, the leader, still looking for career win number 2 on the season as well. After winning at Indianapolis, the real strengths of that 2 car have been shown on the big speedways this season. They absolutely know how to build straight line rocket ships at Ditech Van Dalen. And after all the mechanical failures of the main Van Dalen team tonight, it's a wonder Ditech Van Dalen haven't experienced even an ounce of what was going on there. But it's obvious that those 2 teams, even though they're under the same umbrella, went 2 completely different directions in how they tuned their engines. Daniel Voiles is into the pits for some damage repairs further on. Must be more of a tire rub. And Scott Roush has finally had enough. The impatience level has hit the ceiling. And he peeked down the inside on Daniel Giroux to try and unlap himself. Couldn't do it. But that 6 car is so fast, it's like he's not even trying. When they're peeking down the inside of him, he's just toying with them. And then he gasses it up in the middle of the corner and he's gone by the time they go down the straightaway. Oh! Engritz touches the left rear of William Duncan through 1 and 2. The battle for 4th heating up as the leaders continue to deal with the lapper of Scott Roush. You see, Roush just backs up. He falls a couple tenths back, and you think, oh wow, maybe the 2 cars started to pull away. And then a lap later, he pulls this and flies right back up to the 2 like it was nothing, like there was no effort involved. Oh man, he almost puts the bumper to the leader. There is not a single voice able to calm the storm that is Scott Roush after a bad night, especially when it's one that he could have won. I almost wonder if he's pulled the radio plug out. They can't even tell him, no, don't do that. 30 laps to go at Myrtle Beach. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Alison Figueroa is still continuing to try and make forward progress as she tries to nose down the inside of Jeff McLennan into turn 3, even with that wounded race car, but it's not the preferred line here at Myrtle Beach tonight. And McLennan staves off the 98 for now, but once again tries to deal with his lapped teammate Chris Louviere, as right behind Ryan Reid tries to battle with the 57 of Mark Nutt. Ooh, Figueroa getting awfully close quarters with the right rear of Jeff McLennan's car, but she might have just found a way through on the 87 unless he can continue to fire it down the inside of his teammate Louviere's car. But I think putting himself vulnerable to the outside attacks has put him a position down on the wounded 98 car miraculously for Alison Figueroa's sake. But he does not end up putting himself anywhere close to being under pressure from those behind. Or does he? Oh my God, Mark Nutt with a crazy run around the outside. The reigning champion has not found much momentum this season, but where he has found is incredible moments this season where he proves that he is a series champion and he is someone still to be reckoned with, even if the consistency and the pace have not been there all season. William Duncan trying to peek to the outside of Sean Angel, nearly successfully pulls it off. Can't quite do it. McLennan still being pinned down to that yellow line on the inside of the white line down on the inside of the racetrack, and is paying the price for it every corner of every lap. Just from trying to pass his lap teammate. Oh man, Ryan Reid somehow doesn't clap into the side of the 57 of Mark Nutt on the entry to turn 3 there. Flies down the inside of the 57. And somehow, some way, none of that ended in contact. Oh, Louviere creating a bit of a nuisance for Shrimp Angrets to help teammate William Duncan in the 66. And Scott Roush once again pulls up to the back of Daniel Giroux to try and unlap himself. Contact is made between Mark Nutt and Ryan Reid. They doored each other down the straightaway. And Reid continues to get aggressive with these guys as they try to clear the 87 of Chris Louviere into the corner. No lap traffic in sight still for your race leader Daniel Giroux. The only thing he still has to deal with and still think about is Scott Roush trying to unlap himself. And Figueroa does clear Louviere on the inside lane. So important, and it proves to the others around her that he can be cleared on that inside lane. Now what do you do? Do you try and follow that route? Or do you just assume the 98 has that strong of a car and she can pull that kind of a move? Ryan Reid tries to complete one, but can't. And gets completely cleared by the 83 almost into turn 3. And he does get cleared into turn 1 this time. Figueroa on Angrets now for 5th place. The 98 has somehow found more speed from the damage. And William Duncan has caught Sean Angel for the 3rd position. Things could be getting interesting in the top half of the top 5. There will be lap traffic to contend with for Daniel Giroux before this race is over, but the question being, will he be dealing with it for long enough to bring others into the battle? I almost wonder if he won't be dealing with that traffic, actually. We'll have to find out. Reid now clears the 83. And as this run moves on, Scott Roush peeks down the inside of Daniel Giroux. He's done waiting around, and he harasses the 2-car to try and get a lap back. And that cuts Shepard's gap to Giroux down to 1 second. Ryan Reid trying to get the outside of Allison Figueroa into turn 3. Trying to get 6th place. More points for the championship leader here. 13 to go at Myrtle Beach. Reid clears Figueroa. Scott Roush not letting Daniel Giroux breathe for a second. Telling him, listen here, man, I should be the one winning this race. I should be the one leading, dominating. Reid went for the move on Shrimp Angrets. Couldn't quite complete it, and now puts himself back vulnerable to Allison Figueroa on the exit of 4. Three wide back here. Tristan Wilhoit, Mitchell Mark, and Fabio Villavasa. Wilhoit completely backs out of it, and smartly so. Oh, but he gets turned by Chonarong Wangsawat while trying to check up. Caution's going to come back out on the racetrack for the 17 car, who goes hard into the wall. And as they race back to the caution, Giroux will take the yellow with less than 10 to go. We're going to have a single file restart. And you saw it there first, folks. A misjudgment from Chonarong Wangsawat takes Tristan Wilhoit from 11th place up into the outside wall. Daniel Giroux, the leader, ahead of Aiden Shepard, Sean Angel, William Duncan, and Shrimp Angert's the top 5. Let's go back and check out a replay to get a closer look. So we saw them come off of turn number 2. Wilhoit was on the bottom 3 wide. He backed out of it, but he was such a shallow line into turn 3 that when he washed up the racetrack, Wangsawat had not put any thought into that fact, and the OZ, the 08 did not move. The 17 physics alone pushed him up the racetrack into his left front, and that can just be chalked up to rookie inexperience for Chonarong Wangsawat. They're not expecting the 17 to enter the way he was and what was going to happen if he entered the way he did. And it's caused the 17, the Season 4 champ, to go into the wall and possibly out of the race. We'll have to find out as the rest of this caution plays out. But Daniel Giroux still the leader in what will end up being the final restart of this race. Let's go see what happens there. For one final time at Myrtle Beach, the pace car pulls back in. Daniel Giroux, single file restart. Scott Roush on his bumper, not the man in second place. It's Aiden Shepard, the 3rd car in line, who's trying to make something happen. We're back underway here at Myrtle Beach. Shepard gets a great restart and tries to take advantage of Roush's poor restart. Can't sneak underneath. William Duncan peeks underneath the 58 of Sean Angel, but might put himself vulnerable to Angert's if he's not careful. Exit of turn number 2. Into 3 and 4 we go. Coming down to 3 laps to go for Daniel Giroux. Duncan will be under pressure from the 59 of Angert's.
It's just been so hard to make that inside work. I feel like the Maverick car has been trying it all night, and it's just not been working.
No, Ryan Reid now trying to get Figueroa to crack into 6th position. Every point matters for the championship leader as he successfully peeks to the outside at the last moment. Figueroa nearly puts the bumper to Duncan, who now has Angert side by side with Angel ahead. Coming to the white flag for Daniel Giroux. Your Indianapolis winner has 1 lap left to just keep it on the racetrack and not get himself up in a stupid crash with someone like Scott Roush. Through 1 and 2 for the final time. He had to fly through the field and earn one at Indianapolis. Today, they picked the right strategy. He had the best defense possible. Daniel Giroux is a 2-time winner in the WTSS. He wins at Myrtle Beach.
And he joins the call.
Aiden Shepard comes home in second. Never could quite even get close enough to make the move. Sean Angel, William Duncan got fourth back on the last lap, and Ryan Reid cracked the top 5 as Engritz dropped 2 spots. Figueroa, G. Yon, Nutt, and McLennan salvages the top 10. Mark, Dodd, Stavina, Wilhoit salvages 14th, only losing 3 positions in the process, and Takeda the top 15. The rest of your running order is as follows, the DNFs being Finguy, Bolden, Stevens, Hill, Nugroho, Gibson, Krasta, Smith, Bishelia, and Constantine. 4 of those being engine failure. Daniel Giroux had the lead on multiple occasions tonight as the strategies kept flipping and flopping over and over, but eventually the strategy that came out on top was the one that the 2-car had put themselves into. 200 laps at Myrtle Beach is complete. Multiple cautions over multiple laps. This race went on for almost an hour and a half, but in the end, Daniel Giroux prevailed on top. Congratulations to Daniel Giroux, your winner here at Myrtle Beach. We'll see you next race for Talladega on the high banks of the series' only super speedway.